Purple and gold faithful, prepare yourselves for 5 earth-shattering revelations that are about to rock the very foundation of Winter Park and send shockwaves through every corner of Viking Nation. A young defensive beast is suddenly emerging from the shadows and ready to seize his moment of glory. The superstar receiver everyone's been dying to see might disappear from the final preseason showcase, leaving fans heartbroken and desperate. An unheralded rookie is being called something that should make every Viking supporter pay attention. ESPN just dropped their brutal honest assessment of our biggest trade move. And the grade might surprise you, and a potential blockbuster deal with America's team could solve our receiver crisis in ways nobody expected. Each of these bombshells carries the power to reshape this entire Viking season. And if you're ready to dive headfirst into this emotional whirlwind with me, then strap in, because the first revelation is about to explode right in front of your eyes. And what I'm about to tell you will make you realize that sometimes the most unexpected heroes emerge from the most chaotic moments. But before we unleash this storm of Viking Nation fury, if you believe in the purple and gold more than you despise the Packers, smash that like button right now and prove to the entire NFL world that Skull Nation never backs down from a fight. Because what's coming next is going to test everything you thought you knew about this defensive transformation. The Minnesota Vikings shocked the entire NFL landscape on Wednesday by trading away captain and 3-year starter Harrison Phillips to the New York Jets. And while most of Viking Nation was still processing that bombshell, something incredible was already brewing behind the scenes at Winter Park. The front office didn't just trade away a proven veteran to create salary cap space. They cleared the path for a young warrior who's been waiting in the shadows, ready to prove that he belongs among the elite defensive talents in this league. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins is suddenly thrust into the spotlight, and his 5th-round rookie from the University of Georgia is about to become a household name for every single member of Viking Nation who's been wondering how we're going to replace Phillips' leadership and production. Bill Mackey from Score North witnessed something special during joint practices, posting on social media. The biggest nugget from the Vikings defense today: Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins running quite a bit with the first team defense, alongside Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. Looks situational, red zone and or early downs, where the Vikings need more beef for pass rush. And when Phillips got traded, Mackey realized that this wasn't just a coincidence, but a carefully orchestrated plan. Think about the physical specimen we're talking about here. Ingram-Dawkins ran a 4.86 40-yard dash with elite 10 and 20-yard splits, produced outstanding times in short shuttle and 3-cone drills, plus explosive jumping numbers that had scouts drooling during the combine process. Head coach Kevin O'Connell broke down why this rookie is ready for prime time. We really identified him throughout the whole process as someone who could be very versatile on that front, playing up to 3 or 4 different roles. Whether that's as an interior rusher on early downs, a 5 technique player, maybe even some edge snaps as a bigger body player against some teams. He's been part of the reason why you feel so good about that depth on the defensive line. And those words should send chills down the spine of every opposing offensive coordinator. Will Raggetts from Sci.com painted the perfect picture after Phillips' departure. Another player the Vikings are really excited about is Ingram-Dawkins, who they selected in the 5th round out of Georgia this year. At 6'4" and 275 pounds, TID can line up all over the defensive line and make plays with his combination of length, explosion, and power. And he suggested that the rookie would be in the rotation starting week 1. Here's what makes this story so incredible. Ingram-Dawkins wasn't even a starter at Georgia, recording just 39 tackles, 4 sacks, and 13 tackles for loss in 37 games, which doesn't look like the resume of a draftable player until you dive deeper into what makes him special. This is a 6'4", 275-pound athletic freak who can line up anywhere from nose tackle to defensive end. And Kevin O'Connell's defensive scheme is perfectly designed to maximize that versatility and explosiveness. The former Vikings center Garrett Bradbury found himself on the wrong side of Ingram-Dawkins' power rush during preseason. And after their latest loss to the Patriots, O'Connell couldn't contain his excitement about the rookie's potential. Do you believe that Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins is ready to step up and fill the void left by Harrison Phillips? Are you excited to see how Kevin O'Connell uses his versatility across the defensive line? And can you imagine the impact this rookie might have alongside proven veterans like Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because Viking Nation deserves to know about the rising stars who could define our defensive future. But hold on tight, because as shocking as that defensive revelation might be, the next update cuts even deeper into the heart of this franchise. And just when Viking Nation thought the emotional roller coaster couldn't get any more intense, here comes another heart-stopping revelation that's going to leave every purple and gold supporter wondering if the football gods are testing our patience and faith to the absolute breaking point. We're talking about the crown jewel of this entire organization, the player who transforms ordinary Sundays into magical memories. And right now, there's a crushing reality that might rob us of one final glimpse of greatness before the season begins. Justin Jefferson returned to practice on Wednesday after being sidelined for over 3 weeks with a mild hamstring strain he suffered just days into training camp. And while his Week 1 status against those detestable Chicago Bears was never really in question, the heartbreaking truth is that we might not see him take a single snap in Friday night's preseason finale against the Tennessee Titans. NFL insider Kevin Seifert just delivered devastating news about head coach Kevin O'Connell's plans, revealing that after the Vikings starters had a rigorous scrimmage-like practice session on Thursday with tons of reps, the strong inference after seeing how much work the starters got today is that Friday night in Tennessee will be almost all or entirely second and third team players, which means our 4-time Pro Bowl superstar will remain wrapped in bubble wrap. Can you feel the frustration building in your chest right now? This is a receiver who had 103 receptions for 1,533 yards and 10 touchdowns last season, proving once again that he's not just the most dominant pass catcher in the NFC North, but arguably the most feared weapon in the entire NFL. And we've been forced to watch him miss the first 2 preseason games while dreaming about seeing him back in action. Kevin O'Connell has been praising Jefferson's dedication to recovery, saying he's done such a good job with building his strength and doing the work with the medical team and the strength team that I think he feels like he's pretty darn close and ready to go. But the coaching staff is clearly prioritizing long-term health over short-term fan satisfaction. Think about what this means for Viking Nation. After 3 weeks of wondering when we'd get to witness Jefferson's magic again, after dreaming about seeing him connect with rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy for the first time in a meaningful situation, we're being told that we'll have to wait until Monday Night Football against Chicago to see that chemistry develop. Jefferson and McCarthy haven't had many meaningful reps together over the past month, which means the first real test together is going to come under the bright lights of primetime television against the Bears defense that's going to be fired up and ready to make a statement in front of the entire NFL world. The anticipation has been absolutely killing Viking Nation, and now we're faced with the agonizing reality that our patience will be tested for another week while we pray that Jefferson's hamstring is truly 100% healthy when the games actually matter. Are you confident that Kevin O'Connell is making the right call by protecting Jefferson, or do you think our superstar and McCarthy need every possible rep together before facing Chicago? Do you believe that Jefferson's recovery is complete, or is there a part of you that's worried about lingering issues affecting his explosive first step? I know, how excited are you to finally see what the Jefferson-McCarthy connection looks like when the stakes are real and the lights are brightest? Let your voice be heard in the comments, because the anticipation is driving all of us crazy. And Viking Nation needs to stay united through this emotional waiting game. But trust me, the night isn't over, because what comes next might just be the most surprising story of all. Stay with me, because what's coming next is the kind of hidden gem story that proves our coaching staff has an eye for talent that goes far beyond the flashy first-round picks and big-name free agents. And it's a story about an unheralded warrior who's earning respect through pure heart, determination, and what one coordinator calls a very special quality. We're talking about a player who didn't receive a single dollar of guaranteed money in his undrafted free agent contract, suggesting that teams across the NFL weren't exactly fighting over his services, but sometimes the greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected places. Miles Price is suddenly becoming a name that every member of Viking Nation needs to know. And special teams coordinator Matt Daniels just dropped some praise that should have all of us paying very close attention to this 5'9" Shianino Sound, who 183-pound receiver who's been quietly making magic happen during preseason. Daniels broke down what makes Price special in a way that should give Viking Nation goosebumps. I think the biggest is, you look at a guy like Myles Price, all he does is loves football. Very positive. He's someone people want to be around. And then he dropped the key word that defines this rookie's potential. He's a flat-out football player who does a great job tracking it, catching it, sneaky tackle breaker. And that word sneaky should tell you everything you need to know about Price's ability to surprise defenders. Think about what sneaky means in NFL terms. It's the same quality that makes Aaron Jones such a devastating runner, despite being only 5'10" and 208 pounds. Smaller than most running backs, but possessing the kind of power and balance that consistently catches defenders off guard. Price proved his explosiveness in the most spectacular way possible during the Patriots preseason game, delivering an absolutely electrifying 81-yard kickoff return that had the entire stadium on their feet, while also impressing as a punt returner by turning 2 returns into 33 yards of field position. Daniels concluded his analysis with genuine excitement, so I'm excited to kind of see what Myles is able to do, kind of cap off a really good preseason so far for him. And those words suggest that Price has been consistently impressive throughout training camp and preseason action. This is exactly the kind of player that championship teams discover. Someone who wasn't on anyone's radar during the draft, but possesses the intangibles and work ethic that translate into meaningful contributions when the games matter most. Minnesota's receiver room has been the subject of endless anxiety due to injuries and Jordan Addison's suspension. And while Price isn't being looked at as someone who can carry a WR2 or WR3 workload, he could easily become the kind of versatile weapon who picks up crucial targets while being explosive on special teams. The next challenge for the sneaky Myles Price is performing well in tonight's road battle against the Titans. And another strong performance should be enough to secure one of those coveted 53-man roster spots that every undrafted rookie dreams about. Do you believe that Myles Price has what it takes to make a meaningful impact on special teams and as a receiver? Are you excited about the possibility of discovering a hidden gem who could contribute immediately? And how impressed are you that our coaching staff is finding talent in unexpected places while building depth throughout the roster? Sound off in the comments, because these are the kinds of feel-good stories that make Viking Nation proud of our organization's ability to develop overlooked talent. And listen closely, because the next revelation is pure numbers and analysis that might surprise you. But listen, the story only gets more interesting from here, because what I'm about to reveal next involves cold hard analysis from the most respected sports network in the world, and their assessment of our biggest roster move might not be what you expected. We're diving deep into the expert evaluation of that shocking Harrison Phillips trade. And when ESPN drops grades on NFL transactions, you know the entire league is paying attention to see whether teams are making smart moves or costly mistakes. ESPN just dropped their grade for the Vikings Harrison Phillips trade. And analyst Seth Walder delivered a comprehensive breakdown that should give Viking Nation plenty to think about as we evaluate Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's front office strategy. The grade? A solid B for Minnesota, which suggests that while this wasn't a home run move, it was definitely a smart strategic decision that addresses our salary cap concerns while positioning us for future success. Walder explained the reasoning behind the grade. The Vikings are paying half of his $7.4 million salary, which matters. It's a short-term move for the Jets, but not necessarily a one-year deal. Phillips is under contract for $7 million in 2026. That could be worth it depending on how he plays this season. And that financial context reveals just how much salary cap relief this trade provides for our championship aspirations. The analysis gets even more interesting when you consider the bigger picture. Meanwhile, Minnesota had a defensive tackle surplus. They brought in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave this offseason, and they have young depth as well. That combination, along with the Vikings being an NFL high $66 million over the cap in 2026 per overthecap.com, perhaps made Phillips a luxury the Vikings felt they could part with for a little draft capital and a few million in savings. And suddenly this trade makes perfect sense from a roster construction perspective. What ESPN's analysis reveals is that this wasn't an emotional decision or a panic move, but rather a calculated gamble based on our defensive tackle depth and long-term financial planning. We brought in proven veterans Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave during free agency, while also developing promising young talent like Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, Jalen Redmond, and Taki Taimani, which gave us the luxury of trading away a quality starter for future assets. The Jets also received a B grade from ESPN, with Phillips likely to start next to superstar Quinnen Williams, which should help him thrive in his new role while proving that we traded away a player who still has value around the league. Most Viking Nation loyalists thought any late summer trade would involve acquiring a wide receiver, backup quarterback, or cornerback. So when the Phillips news broke, the shock value was immediate because trading team captains is relatively rare in the NFL. What makes this move even more strategic is that Minnesota doesn't usually stockpile depth at defensive tackle. But for the first time in years, that position is loaded with talent, giving us the flexibility to make moves that address other roster needs. The purple team now has additional late-round draft picks to use as ammunition while seeking another deal for a wide receiver, which connects directly to our offensive needs and Jordan Addison's suspension situation. Do you agree with ESPN's B-grade assessment of the Harrison Phillips trade? Are you confident that our defensive tackle depth can handle losing a 3-year starter and team captain? And do you think this move will ultimately be remembered as smart roster management or a costly mistake? Let me know in the comments, because these grades matter when evaluating our front office's decision-making process. Because if you thought that analysis was revealing, the final story might just blow your mind with a potential solution to our biggest problem. And if you think that was comprehensive, the final revelation is the kind of blockbuster possibility that could solve our most pressing roster concern while making a statement to the entire NFC that Viking Nation means business when it comes to championship aspirations. We're talking about a potential trade scenario that involves America's team, a young receiver who's been quietly developing into a legitimate NFL weapon, and the kind of strategic maneuvering that could transform our offensive depth chart before week 1. The Minnesota Vikings could be targeting Jalen Tolbert from the Dallas Cowboys. And this proposed trade scenario represents exactly the kind of smart, aggressive move that championship organizations make when they identify opportunities to improve their roster. The trade proposal is beautifully simple. Minnesota sends a 6th-round pick acquired in the Harrison Phillips deal to Dallas in exchange for Jalen Tolbert, a young receiver who could immediately address our depth concerns while providing long-term value at the position. Think about why this makes perfect sense for both teams. The Cowboys may be willing to part with Tolbert after acquiring George Pickens earlier in the offseason, creating a surplus at wide receiver that Jerry Jones and his front office could monetize through trade. Tolbert had his best professional season in 2024, hauling in 49 passes for 610 yards and 7 touchdowns despite playing with Cooper Rush as his quarterback for most of the season, which proves he can produce even when the circumstances aren't ideal. What makes Tolbert particularly appealing for Kevin O'Connell's offense is his ability to win contested catches, adding a physical dimension to our receiver room that's been missing without Justin Jefferson at full strength. The analysis suggests that Tolbert isn't just a player who can help maintain basic offensive competence in the immediate future, but should also have an advantage over Jalen Nailor in the battle for the WR3 spot when everyone's healthy and available. Minnesota has gone from having one of the most threatening wide receiver rooms in the NFL to one of the weakest, with Jefferson dealing with his hamstring injury and Jordan Addison missing the first 3 games due to suspension. Names like former 6th-round pick Jalen Nailor and rookie 3rd-rounder Ty Felton are suddenly being thrust into prominent roles alongside an unproven quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, which makes adding proven talent like Tolbert an absolute necessity. Dallas, meanwhile, could add an extra draft pick while freeing up targets for Kevontae Turpin, who has been a priority for coordinator Brian Schottenheimer throughout the entire offseason. The Cowboys are also trying to justify last year's trade for Jonathan Mingo, and moving Tolbert would create more opportunities for their existing receiver group while adding future draft capital. Tolbert won't single-handedly transform this offense into a championship unit, but he would provide a much-needed injection of talent that could help the Vikings weather Addison's suspension while improving their overall passing game depth, getting maximum talent around JJ. McCarthy should still be the front office's top priority, and acquiring a young receiver with NFL experience and upside fits perfectly with our championship timeline. Do you think Jalen Tolbert would be a smart addition to our wide receiver room given his contested catch ability? Are you excited about the possibility of using our trade assets from the Phillips deal to address our offensive needs? And how confident are you that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah will continue making aggressive moves to support JJ? McCarthy's development? Drop your predictions in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of strategic maneuvering that separates contenders from pretenders. And listen closely, because if this week felt like a masterclass in roster construction and strategic planning, what's coming next could be the crescendo that defines everything we thought we knew about this Vikings organization's championship ambitions. These 5 revelations have exposed the intricate chess match happening behind the scenes at Winter Park, where every move is calculated, every decision is purposeful, and every transaction is designed to maximize our potential for glory. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins emerging from the shadows proves that our coaching staff has an eye for developing talent that goes far beyond first-round pedigree, showing that championship rosters are built through smart scouting and player development. Justin Jefferson's preseason absence reminds us that patience is the cruelest test of faith any fan base can endure. But sometimes protecting greatness requires sacrificing immediate gratification for long-term excellence. Miles Price being called sneaky by our special teams coordinator reveals the kind of hidden gems that championship teams discover, proving that heart and determination often matter more than draft position or guaranteed money. ESPN's B grade for the Harrison Phillips trade validates that our front office is making calculated decisions based on salary cap management and roster depth, not emotional attachments to popular players. And the potential Jalen Tolbert acquisition shows that we're actively working to solve our receiver crisis through smart trades that leverage our newly acquired draft capital. But here's what every single member of Viking Nation needs to understand as we prepare for Monday Night Football against Chicago. These aren't just random roster moves. They're carefully orchestrated steps in a championship blueprint that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah have been building since day one. Every trade creates salary cap flexibility for future moves. Every young player development success proves our coaching staff's ability to maximize talent. Every strategic decision brings us closer to the ultimate goal of bringing a Lombardi Trophy home to Minneapolis. If you believe that Skull Nation has what it takes to weather any storm, if you trust that our purple and gold warriors are building something special, if you're ready to ride this emotional journey all the way to championship glory, then smash that like button, hit subscribe, and prove to the entire NFL world that Viking Nation never surrenders when greatness is within reach. Comment below with your most confident prediction for this season. Tell me which of these 5 stories made you most optimistic about our future, and let me know if you think we're witnessing the beginning of something truly magical in Minnesota. Because if you thought this analysis was thorough, just wait until JJ. McCarthy takes his first snap in anger. Just wait until Justin Jefferson reminds everyone why he's the most dominant receiver in the league. Just wait until these young defensive players prove they belong among the NFL elite. The next chapter of Vikings history is about to be written, and I promise you it's going to be absolutely spectacular. Think this was comprehensive? The real avalanche of success is just starting, and Viking Nation is going to love every single moment of this championship chase. Skål!